Traditional recovery is killing people. The recovery space gets everything so wrong. I was like, oh, fuck you, go read a book. Like, I know that I'm fucking right. Once I had like the facts and the data on my side, I'm like, let's go, bitch. Like, let's go. For once, I don't give a shit what people think about me. It gave me such a sense of self and freedom and fight and just a voice and just truly not giving a shit what anybody else thinks. When the truth is on your side, there is a sense of just, I don't care what you say to me. You can't get rid of me, bitches. And if you are the first person to ever say something, holy shit, you're the first person to ever say something. Like, you're beginning a whole revolution. I want to be like the voice that we could have really used when we were like, wait a second, what the hell's going on here? There's so much bullshit out there that, I mean, until that stops, at least, I'm gonna keep going. I'll admit I did get a little bit of fun sometimes with the clapbacks and stuff. Sometimes it gets a little toxic. I'm not saying that I'm never gonna be snarky back or that's never gonna happen again, because of course it is. If you feel like you are willing to stand 10 toes down no matter what comes your way, then you know that you're ready to talk about this stuff publicly. As you grow and evolve, they may not be growing and evolving. And some of your biggest fans may end up being like, I don't fucking like what you're saying anymore. I think you're full of shit. And so you got to deal with that. My faith in the desperate need for recovery reform, nobody can take that away from me. And to get to be the first time that somebody's hearing, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, you're just a human that's got caught up in this crazy ass cult that none of us even knew was a cult. The world, the universe, they don't know it's a cult either. There's so much power and emotion. It really is some powerful shit, man. I've literally transformed my entire mind, my entire thought process. It is life-changing to think for yourself. Overall, this experience has opened me up to a sense of pride, I guess is the word. I feel good about what I'm doing, even though, according to some people, I'm killing people. There's just something about going through this experience and like who you become on the other side and be like, I can just be me. That is huge. And to just truly like feel confident in what you say after being a low self-esteem follower, when you're taught you can't trust anything that your brain thinks, to now be like, I'm the only person I trust. The freedom that comes with that. And I got that from Dissenting 12-step. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
I've shifted out of focusing primarily on deprogramming, and I wanted to focus on you as a courageous, badass fucking individual. And I miss you. Should we dive in, or you want to chit chat?
You know me, I wing it. I just go with the flow.
Wing this shit. Okay. Well, it's Brittany, bitch. I mean, it's Bernie, bitch. Welcome.
It's Bernie.
Welcome to Kirsten Johnson podcast with Bernie, Burn the Stigma, Tara Grace. I am so freaking excited that you're here. Weekend with Bernie is happening.
I know, it's so good to be back. I feel like the gang's all back together.
Totally. Oh my God. So I was so looking forward to this. And really, what I wanted to share with everybody today is your story of being a badass, courageous person who speaks out despite all of the naysayers, the hate, the trolls, because it's not easy. It's not easy because of the people that you loved and the friends and the community that would have been upset at you, but also what you get from the strangers. And so for me, I think like, one of the most courageous things anyone can do is speak out about a cult. But not only did you speak out about a 12-step cult, you actively spoke out about a cult that society still doesn't view as a cult. So society is indoctrinated as well. So it's like even deeper. And it takes a tremendous amount of courage. And I thought it would be great to talk about just your badassery and what that journey was like for you. So I'm specifically excited to have you here. And I just want to let everybody know, this is Tara Grace from Burn the Stigma. She has a thriving Facebook page. I'll link everything below. TikTok, YouTube, all of the things. We have done 11 podcasts together for our Bernie and Bestie Live, but we also did 2 more together. So this is number 14. because I did one on Recovery Rebellion podcast and you were on Sobriety Bestie podcast. So this is like getting the band back together.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? You were the first person that I ended up interviewing for Recovery Rebellion. So it's just like, just
Oh,
intertwined. Yeah.
bringing it back to the Barney, to the bestie, and it's Brittany, bitch. Okay, so
Man.
my very first question, I am personally so curious, but also I think that everybody who's vibing along with you, I mean, there's like tens of thousands of people following you, and I'm not sure if they've heard your story just like I haven't about what it took for you to do what you do. I'm hoping that you can take us to the moment where you realize that you couldn't stay quiet anymore.
It's funny because it's one of those things that when I first started speaking out about the program, I didn't really like that wasn't the intention, honestly. Like I didn't know like when I've shared before how when I first started speaking, I was still very much like, there's multiple pathways and I still thought that 12 step was the way, right? But I just started slowly kind of chipping away and being like, well, it's not for everyone. And then I got to a point where I was like, well, actually, you know what? Like, let me just not sugarcoat this. Like, it was actually super fucking harmful for me, and it was something that kept me trapped in way longer than I thought, and it kept me trapped even years after I left, and I didn't realize it. And so I feel like the experience kind of, I was like deprogramming out loud and just really the whole thing just kind of it was like with other people in the comments that gave me the strength because then they'd say like, yeah, I relate, and I'd be like, okay, well, some other people get it, then that gave me like the strength to say more and more and more. And then when I started reading shit and I'm like, shit, this isn't just a few of us had a shitty experience and that it works for most people. And then once I had like the facts and the data on my side, I'm like, let's go, bitch. Like, let's go.
Yeah, it sounds like you were following your intuition and doing what felt right to you, or what they'd say in AA, the next right action. And that it led you into a journey way more transformative and potent for you. You thought you were being of service and you were and are, but it actually evolved you as well.
Totally. It literally, like, without sounding corny, it changed my life. It completely changed my life and gave me so much more confidence in myself. And, I really feel like the whole reason I got into drugs in the first place was like a low self-esteem. So to feel like to take back my power and really realizing that I wasn't alone, it was really the people in the comments that gave me the strength to learn more because I was like, okay, well, what else can we find out? And to speak more and to share more. But I mean, yeah, completely transformed my life because it's a difference leaving the program and being like, okay, like, I'm just going to do what works for me and hopefully I don't die versus like, no, this is a super harmful ass program and people need to know about this shit. Two totally different worlds, 100%. Yeah. And it gave me, again, just the strength to keep going and talking, and I haven't stopped
Yeah.
since.
Even before you gained strength from your community and followers and people agreeing and being helped and supported by you, that it was even very gutsy and brave to say something in the first place because of the anonymity. So obviously Alcoholics Anonymous, one of the principles is being anonymous. And in AA, it's a tradition about press, radio, and film. And because that was in the 1930s, it would also apply then to social media. So
Right.
even the fact of you saying anything about 12 steps, even when you still agreed with it, because you were showing up and talking about how you smoke pot now and that you had a heroin addiction and that you left and that you're doing better than ever and that your recovery from the addiction's over, heroin, and that you found that the way that you thrive isn't abstinence, which is heretical. Even when you're still saying AA is okay, the very thing that what you were saying took, I would imagine, a tremendous amount of courage. And I just was watching some of your early YouTube videos this morning. Early. Early Bernie. OG Bernie. So 6 years ago in your first YouTube video, you said, and I'm gonna read because I wrote down, like, your literal words, was January 2020, you said your husband lost his 5th sibling to the disease of addiction, and that you said, "This is not about me anymore, and perhaps our story can help somebody else."
Yeah, it's funny because I've even shifted from the way that I talk about it since then, right? Because before, like when you talk about this stuff, you're trained to talk about it in such a way, right? Like the recovery way of talking about this stuff is like the poor addict who's still suffering, and like we lose so many lives, and we absolutely do lose so many lives, right? But then I got to the point where, like, I'm actually changing. I have a poster of his five siblings, and I'm changing it because it's like it's about their death, and I want it to be about their life. Because imagine passing away and all you're ever thought about is like how you died, right? Like you're that cautionary tale. Don't be like this person. Don't, you know what I mean? Like again, just the cautionary tale. And it's like I want to celebrate people, especially family, right? And it's so easy to fall into, I know we're totally getting kind of left field here, but it's so easy to get into the just the again the story, right? Like the addiction story. And like 100% I want to help other people, and losing 5 out of 12 of them is insane, right? But I also don't want to be like the traditional addiction story, right? Because they were more than their addiction, and they are still more than that addiction. And I think it's so, when people die, like we have this page in Massachusetts, and it shows like the detox what beds that are open, and every day that they post it, they post pictures of people who either died on that day or had their birthday on that day. And eventually it started to bother me because they show up 10 times a year, right? And it's like there's so much more than how they died. And that's how we keep remembering these people, like every time, once you pass away from your substance use disorder, that's all you're ever remembered as, is this person who passed away from your substance use disorder. And now it's like I'm trying to change that narrative a little bit, because it's like, people deserve, like, imagine if I passed away from an overdose and that's all people ever remembered me as. But yes, their story 100% got me talking about it too, because it's like, how many more people are we gonna lose? Like, I've lost my best friend. Like, there's just so many people who aren't here anymore. Like, if I was to log on to my first Facebook page, I have like my original one, if I could ever remember that password, I guarantee you like half of those people are dead now. You know what I mean? And like even the new one that I have, that I've had since my husband got out of prison, there's still a bunch of dead people on that one. So people keep dying, and we keep doing the same old shit over and over again. So yeah, it was kind of like, all right, I'm going to share our story for better or for worse. And I never imagined it would take me to this. Never imagined that. Nope.
Yeah, it sounds like AA, when you were still inside AA ideology quite a bit, that's what guided you to speak out. I know it did for me because it's this whole idea of carrying a message, helping people, all this. But even you were still in the framework of they're remembered how they died, not how they lived, and that you've evolved. And this was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So you've evolved quite a bit as somebody who's been speaking out about a harmful cult religion, I would call it, but about 12-step ideology.
Yeah, it's crazy to look back at some of the original times of speaking out, because yeah, 100%, when I first started speaking online, it was from a 12-step lens, even though I wasn't in 12-step. So yeah.
Why was it still through the 12-step lens?
Because that's all I knew recovery to be. All I knew, All I knew about recovery, and even if it wasn't full 12 step, it was full disease model, right? It was lifelong progressive disease that you're going to I used to say the word disease all the time, dude. I'd be like, my disease, your disease, blah, 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 you know? And that's the only way I knew it. That's the only way I had been taught about it. That's the only way I had heard anybody speak about it. When you go online and you search recovery, what do you hear? You hear all of the traditional recovery messages. It's all the same thing over and over and over again. So it's just how I thought recovery was. It wasn't until I met other people like in harm reduction and speaking about it differently. Like I thought cut and dry it was a disease. I didn't know it was a model. I didn't, you know what I mean? I thought like this is what it is scientifically 100% like, so yeah, I didn't know there was another door. I didn't know there was door number two, three, four, five. I thought it was just door number one.
Right. The indoctrination's really thick. So that's even in your first video, you said lost them to the disease of addiction. I was like, that's interesting. So no, it shows your growth, and to me, it shows your like conviction to make a difference. And it was about people are dying and I want to speak up because there's another way, and I don't know that this way is wrong, but I know there's another way, and I got to talk about it. And quite frankly, that's some of what was my motivation as well, and my motivation to leave AA in the first place was people are fucking dying and it's not okay. And so I really admire that grit in you. I'm wondering because at a certain point in time in dissenting and speaking out, which I think is so courageous, because what do we know? What is, according to a lot of the studies, the number one fear of people is not death, it's public speaking. So public speaking is the biggest fear for a lot of people. They're never going to do it. On top of that, calling out a cult. On top of that, calling out a cult that the world still doesn't realize is a cult. So you've leaped all these dimensions in, like, that's why I say badass courage, I really admire you for doing this. It's not easy, and it's taken a lot internally. There's a lot of emotional hits I'm sure you've received. And so at some point, you went from, oh shit, the disease idea is an idea. It's not a reality. This isn't science. So at some point in your speaking out, you pivoted to dissenting, I would call it. At first, it was like, hey, people are dying and I got to talk, share my story. And then it was like, wait a minute, this is all baloney or bullshittery, as some of us call it. Billoney. That's my new favorite word, billoney. I'm like, that's so good. It's all
That is
baloney.
good.
So at some point you realized it's bullshit, and so you did take the step. Now you're dissenting. You're saying there is no disease. Do you remember like how you felt when you first started opposing the 12-step model?
I just remember feeling like really like really like, dude, I'm such an idiot. Like I'm so stupid. Like, how did I fall for this stuff so hard? And not only did I fall for it so hard when I was in it, how did I fall for it so hard even after I left? Like, how, after experiencing all of the things that I experienced in there, how did I still think that was still the best route and the route that most people should take? And once I started to find out real information and started reading books, which like I'm not a big book reader, but if something interests me, I'll read it. And then once I started reading like Undoing Drugs, Coming to Harm Reduction, Kicking and Screaming, Unbroken Brain, all of the classics, it was just like I was pissed a little bit. I was like, I was mad, I was sad, and I was like, so many people just believe this with their whole heart and soul, and not just people in the rooms, like society, Hollywood, like doctors are reciting this dogma. Like, how did it get so far? Like, it was just really confusing, honestly, to be like, wow. Like everything that I would have bet my life on as fact, everything that I thought I was an addiction expert because I went to so many rehabs, right? Like I thought I could have taught a whole class. And then to find out that literally everything that I thought was like hard fact is not. So yeah, that was a crazy experience of just being like, what else is not real?
Yeah. Popping out of, like, the recovery matrix is no joke. Lots of
Yeah.
feelings. Was there any fear about speaking about it on the internet?
Not at that point. Not at that I think at that point, I was so emotionally charged between, like, my parents being got, myself being got, like, so many dead people I know being got, like, it was just like, "We have to talk about this because this isn't just, like, your opinion, my opinion, your experience, my experience," it was like, "This is real shit." Like, there's so much that people think with their whole chest as fact, and I did too. But once you see it, like we've talked about before, it's like once you know Santa's not real, like there's no going back. And then it's just like you just go down this rabbit hole of just like what the hell happened?
Yeah. Was there any initial pushback that you remember? Was there, like, a moment where people started coming at you in the comments and you, like, were questioning yourself? Or can you tell us about what that was like?
So I do remember the whole like just because it didn't work for you doesn't mean you should talk bad about it, or I don't agree with AA either, but I don't want to, make somebody else not go type vibe. And that made me sit for a second. But then I was like, but statistically, the likelihood is that more people have had my experience and more people are trying to make the program work even though it's not working for them because they think they don't have a choice. So once I kind of started to see like the facts really helped me, like seeing like real, even though I will admit like the data on AA, it's not that great because you can't really study it. So, I'm not gonna, and there was a time I was like 5%, 5%, 5%, and I would like say it like fact. And now I'm kind of like, it's somewhere around there. I don't really know for sure because it's notoriously hard to study. But the fact of the matter is, an overwhelming majority of people do not find success in their rooms. And even the people that do, I mean, if the cult thing works for you, by all means, I suppose, but I still think those people deserve better. You deserve better than believing those things about yourself, no matter how much it's working for you. So yeah, at first I was like, but then I was like, no, fuck that, because there's way too many people who are on the other side who are keeping their mouth shut because they don't want to, affect somebody else's recovery. And I think that's just such a that's I think that keeps a lot of people silent. I think a lot of people don't speak up because they have in their head that they're going to ruin it for somebody else.
100%. So, am I hearing that it was more intellectual than emotional, meaning that the data and the stats really empowered you? Or was there an emotional journey as well that you had to work through?
I really feel like anytime the kind of like, oh, should I be saying this? Should I be doing this? I would start reading some of the books again and start scanning pages and such and being like, no, but the reality is like the truth is that it's not what you think. It's not that it works if you work it, and it's not just a spiritual like there were so many like facts, I guess, that just really helped me. It was just like finally, because I felt like I emotionally was attached to this topic for so long, even when I was in the rooms, right? But it was like finally feeling like someone had my back, and it was like the data and the real information. It was like, you can say that I'm wrong all you want, but I can point you to somewhere else where you can read if you would take the time. They always say, I don't want your data, I don't need to read that. But it's it gave me yeah, confidence. It gave me the confidence to push through all the bullshit, all the comments. Not to say the comments don't drive me fucking mad sometimes, but when the truth is on your side, there is a sense of just, I don't care what you say to me. I don't care what you say to me because I know I'm not lying. So I don't care.
How
Yeah.
does it feel to have the truth on your side?
Unstoppable. Like I really feel unstoppable. You know what I'm saying? Like what are you going to say to me? Okay, you don't agree. Fine, you don't have to agree. But this isn't about opinions anymore, right? Like are there bits and pieces that are opinion? Of course. But the information and the truth doesn't line up what's in the big book from the doctor's opinion on, So even from the title page, like that was even bullshit. How 100 would recover, whatever. Like it's like there's from jump, it's not true.
From the
And
title, because if they're anonymous, then why the hell are they trolling the crap out of us?
right, so just go away.
And also, alcoholic doesn't exist, so the title is even baloney.
Right.
Bill Oni.
Right.
We got bamboozled.
So bad. So bad. But the freedom of once like you see it, it is like, or at least for me, it was like, wow, I feel like it was just wow, like I gave up like my 20s to that. But once you have the truth and you see the truth, there was just something about it that it was like, not only did it just empower me to say something, it was just like this empowerment that I don't care how many negative comments I get, how many people tell, like, it's like this one doctor, speaking of doctor, I hardly go on TikTok anymore. And I got this message from a doctor. Then I have comment to where you have to scroll up to see like how many, like they left so many comments telling me how obsessed I am. And it's just like the irony in some of this shit, it's like, what the hell? But yeah, there's nobody that's gonna, I mean, you can't keep me quiet at this point, because it's not just the emotions, it's not just the connections with people in my comments, it's the truth. And when you put all of that together, you can't get rid of me, bitches. Like that's how I feel. That's really how I feel.
Oh my God. I'm obsessed. I love you so much. This is so fun to vibe with you. So it sounds like that's what keeps you going. But if I would just ask you like outright, what keeps you going? What comes up for you when I say that?
It's just one of those things, like, I'll see, and I live in Massachusetts, like we talked about, it's a more, I'd say it's a more, progressive state, and we have more resources that aren't 100% abstinent-based and such, right? But at the end of the day, when I see these things popping up, it's still the same old message. Like we can pretend that we've, progressed, or we're doing so well and we're all pathways this and all pathways that. But at the end of the day, majority of the sober living is still 12-step based. Majority of the resources out there are still 12-step based. You have all these clubs and what they offer, like one yoga class, and all of a sudden they're all pathways. It's like, it's so still so 12-step based. And then I see the comments and I see the people and I see the recovery creators sharing all of these things, and it's just the same old shit over and over and over again. And I just want to be a voice that's not the same old shit. I want to be, like we've talked about, the voice that we could have really used when we were like, wait a second, what the hell's going on here, and that's what keeps me going, is just that there's so much bullshit out there that I mean, until that stops, at least I'm gonna keep going, because people need to hear something different. And am I gonna change a bunch of people's minds? No, but sometimes it just opens a crack. Sometimes it just, someone's like, I've had people say, I never thought about it that way before. Yeah, I didn't either. And then I started to, and then I got more interested, and now it's like I'm obsessed with it, So, I mean, it's just one of those things. I just feel like it's in me, like it's in my soul. Like it's just, I don't get like excited about, like I don't really have like big hobbies or anything, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like this is just something that excites me and sets me like on fire, to where just I just feel like there's so many people who live in this world who think the best that they can do for themselves is recovery for life, right? Like for them, that is the best that they're ever going to get, and that's all they could hope for. But it's like, once you realize that you can heal and you can move on and you can build a whole different life where you're not fighting, having to use, fighting, not having to think about, like you're just existing and living. I want people to experience that, because as someone who used to fight every single day of like, okay, I just got to get through the next 24 hours and not use, like that is such a miserable fucking way to live, or even when you're doing well, but you still think that you could have a bad day where your disease is going to get you. That's not a way to live. Like I want help, even if I can't help people get to their freedom, because I'm a fucking hot mess sometimes. I want people to know that that freedom is available to them, right? Like, I can't really help you get there, but I want you to know that that opportunity is there for you. You can live a whole wide world that you never thought possible, because once you get the addict label, the alcoholic label, the life, or at least for me, the life that I thought I had was so limited. I thought the best I could do was get a little job and, go to my little meetings. And as long as I stayed sober, that was number one. And, it was just this small world of just like the biggest accomplishment was not getting high that day. And I know for in the beginning, yeah, that's huge. But you can move past that. You can live your dreams. You can do all the things that you wanted to do before, your chaotic drug use took you for a whole different turn. And to me, that's so, so important, because that changed my life too. Not thinking so small and like I have to be in this little box and I can't be too confident because that's, bad for you. And you just gotta, yeah. So I think the idea of knowing that even some of the people who think that their recovery is just so wonderful, my heart goes out to them. And maybe that's me being judgmental, I don't know, but my heart still goes out to them, because it's like, you can live such a bigger life than just not using, just not picking up for another day. Like, there's so much more, you know? Yeah, big time. Big time that. Big time helping people realize that and I feel like that sounds kind of messed up to say there's so much more to life than recovery, because so many people take their recovery it means so much to them, right? Like, without their recovery, they think they have no life. And, it's it's just limiting. It's very limiting. And I don't think that you can really feel, and this is just my opinion, but I don't think you can feel like the real excitement for life when you think you have to just like worry about not using for the next 24 hours, for years and years and years and years. I get the early recovery is like that 100%, but at some point you can do so much better.
Yeah. Well, you sound free. You're free of the ideology. I think what I heard you say is something around maybe you're not perfect in all areas of your life, but you are free. You sound like a free woman, and you sound
I,
like you found tremendous purpose in helping liberate others.
Totally. I mean, you know what it's like. Even you are someone who the program worked for and you felt good in it, like it was, but even you felt the freedom once you no longer believed in that and you weren't struggling to make the program work. So just like the freedom that comes with not believing, I just feel like traditional recovery, even not just 12 step, like traditional disease model recovery, you always have a dark cloud over your head. No
Yeah.
matter how free you think you are, if you think that you're one bad day or one bad moment from losing it all, that's not freedom.
It's so baloney because when you're in the 12-step model, you think, well, when I was in the 12-step model, I thought I was happy, joyous, and free vibes, right? I thought I was free and I thought I needed my regular participation in order to maintain that freedom. And now, after being out, I realize it's a trap. And to me, it's the same thing. I was trying to explain it to my mom. I'm like, it's like a little kid goes like this. And because they can't see you, they think you don't exist anymore. And I'm the grown up who's like, not only do I exist, but your reality is stunted. And I know you can't see it and I know you believe it, but I see a bigger picture. And I don't mean that to sound arrogant, but it really feels like a greater awareness to what's happening, empowered by the data and the science.
It's such a great way to put it, like with like the example of the kid, like it's just a different reality. And it's not like I'm trying to say, like you're just so simple minded and I'm so, grand and think so wonderfully. But there's just a sense of true freedom to just be like, whatever. And listen, I'm someone who is still very stuck in these habits of myself of because I feel like I went from one label to a next, right? Like, I was the addict, and then I was like still trying to figure out like, why am I still so like just everywhere of the things I used to think were my disease and my alcoholism and my addict brain, like what are those things? And then it was like I learned more about my ADHD, and like even though I was diagnosed in 7th grade, it wasn't really explained to me. And then it was like, oh, okay, so that's why I suck at time management. That's why, I'll stand here for literal hours trying to pick what next task I'm gonna do, and then I can't figure, just all the things. And I feel like that, because I kept repeating to myself, like, this is who I am, blah, 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 blah. I kind of became trapped in another identity, but having the experience in the rooms, although this took me a little bit longer than I wish it did, but I started to see that like this, you've just become another label. You went from one label to the next label. And even though in both cases, I thought it was freedom, right? Like when I learned about the allergy and the alcoholic, I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. This is totally who I am, blah, 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 right? Then I learned more about ADHD, and I'm like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. This is totally who I am. But then my life began to mimic those labels. And I just feel like at least there's truth in my ADHD. It's not like some dogma or weird rhetoric shit. But I do think you can easily fall into this trap of like, oh, this is who I am. This is all I'm ever going to be type thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I found out about ADHD after I left AA. So I left AA in 2020, and I found out I got diagnosed ADHD in 2024. So 4.5 years after I left. So I was already very deprogrammed by then, and I refused to take it on as an identity. I although I'll say casually sometimes I'm autistic ADHD, but I don't ever use it as an excuse. I use it as a guide, and I look at the research that aligns with making progress in your brain, and I only look at that research, not the research that validates my identity as I'll never change. I won't do that because of my experience and wisdom from having left AA. I'm like, I will not squeeze my soul into a label that somebody made up that, although may be accurate, limits me in ways, because I'll be like, oh, it's because of this. Well, yeah, okay, maybe. But then to be in the learned helplessness of it, I won't do that. I love your recent videos, your most recent podcast on YouTube about habits and looking into um, ADHD and habits and making changes in your brain for the positive without limiting yourself from like a label. I'm curious, from dissenting, putting yourself in the arena, talking about AA and 12 step ideology being baloney, what have you gained that you didn't expect?
Ew, that just made me emotional. Gosh. Yeah, what is this question? I don't know why this is doing this to me. Um, Gosh, a whole world that I didn't know existed, a whole appreciation for myself that I never had. Um, like what we think about ourselves is huge, and I have thought so low of myself for so long. And finally breaking free of like that addict label and all of the like my destiny, jails, institutions, and death. Well, like I've already been to institutions, already been to jail, already overdosed a few times, so I guess death is what my destiny is gonna be. And like going from thinking that to just what I feel like, even though I'm currently really trying to work hard on changing my habits, because I have got myself kind of stuck in this habit loop of not getting things done. I'm pushing through that, and I know that I can do it because of what I've overcome before. And having that, I don't know how to explain it, but being able to speak out and like know that like probably someone from my high school has seen it, like just knowing like different shit like that, you know, like obviously people who do know me that I'm friends with see my stuff and all that stuff. So I don't care. I don't care. Like for once, I don't give a shit what people think about me, and the freedom in that, well, it made me emotional. You know, so it's yeah, it gave me such a sense of self and freedom and fight and just a voice and just truly not giving a shit what anybody else thinks. I mean, it's very easy to say like I don't care what people think, but to truly feel that and like know that what I say has value and feel confident that it has value. When I used to always feel like I'm stupid, I don't know anything, like what can I say? What can I bring to the conversation? You know, I'm usually like the goofy one. And, you know, and now to feel like just again, just the voice and the confidence. I never expected that. Never expected that. Yeah. You
One
made
of the
me cry.
superpowers I've gained around speaking out is that I no longer care to be understood. I don't care if you understand me or not, and that used to
Yes.
drive me.
Yes.
As a neurodivergent individual, right? Being misunderstood is like my entire life. So I always wanted to be understood. Have you had any shift around with not giving a fuck about I don't care if I'm misunderstood? Like,
Very honestly, that part's come more recently. Before, I used to be like the comment answering queen because it'd be like, no, because you're not, this is what you're not getting what I'm saying, right? Like they would like take a piece of what I'm saying and not say the whole picture. So then I feel like I have to explain it to you because you're not getting this, right? Like let me tell you what I really mean. And now there have been, it's just, I feel like I've had like this new awakening in like the past 2 weeks, honestly. I was responding to like some comments and then I just erased it and I said, I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. Nothing I say is gonna get this person and be like, yep, you're right. You know, fuck what I said. And am I gonna always be like that? No. But I definitely have, I mean, at least by 75% have toned down the comment response. That's why I make less content because before it was always having to be understood and having to say like, no, this is what I mean, you know, because yeah, that being misunderstood was, ugh, I hated that. But yeah, truly, you're gonna misunderstand me even if I spell it out letter for letter. You know, we're on different, I don't want to say like different levels like that, but we're just in different realities, right? Like what you believe is completely different from what I believe, and we're not gonna clash, and that's okay. You don't have to get it. Then it's not for you, you know? Yeah, and that's huge, not having to respond to all the comments, like, because that used to kind of mess me up a little bit, feeling like I always had to respond to comments. And I'll admit I did get a little bit of fun sometimes with the clapbacks and stuff. And, you know, sometimes it gets a little toxic, especially when you have your community kind of like, yeah, and you know, it can get a little, and it's like, all right, I'm getting away from where I really want to be here. Like, yeah, it feels good to have people be like, yeah, you tell them and all that stuff. But at the same time, we're not making progress. And again, like, is there ever, I'm not saying that I'm never going to be snarky back or that's never going to happen again, because of course it is, because it's kind of fun sometimes, but I don't feel the sense of like, I have to make you understand.
I love hearing about your evolution. Why do you think you got emotional a moment ago about the gains that you didn't expect?
No, I really don't know, because it really is such a big part of my life, you know? Even when I'm not active on social media, like I got all my notebooks and stuff, like I'm writing shit down. Like, I'm a big planner, not very good at getting the plans done, but I really, I don't want to say obsessed because obsessed almost sounds like a negative word, but this is a big part of my life, and not in a bad way. But it feels good to, you know, like when you read something that I said 6 years ago, like just to see how I've changed and evolved is like, because sometimes, I mean, I've told you that before, like I feel like I've just been doing the same shit for like 6 years and not progressing, and excuse me, and not moving on, but I have.
You're a
Maybe
whole damn different woman. I watched your first like 4 or 5 YouTube videos this morning to catch the vibe of your progression, and you're way more consistent now, more confident, you're more clear. Like you have evolved, and I love that the OG Bernies are up, that your OG videos are up. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, it's cool because until you have conversations like this, it's always about like the next thing, like how do I get better at this? How do I, how do I do this? How do that? And but we do need these moments to like look back at where we were and where we came from in this journey and like what got us started and like why are we still here now and like what is the different vibe now and it does feel like I, just personally that I have accomplished a lot. Like, thank gosh, I'm not going around saying, like, died from the disease of addiction. You know what I mean? Like, thank God.
100%.
God.
So you said before we hit record, like you apologize in case there's a protest outside your house for no kings today.
I hope you don't hear the No Kings protest, like, right outside my door. Lots of horn honking and yeah. I live in
Totally.
Massachusetts.
And you said, sorry if you can hear it. And I didn't until right now. Now I can hear the horns honking. And so I want to bring that into our sesh here. And so if you were going to have a protest, like the people today have their No Kings, they usually have what, like they write something, and have a little sign. So if you were going to have a sign for the stand that you're taking today, what the reason why you're speaking out still, what would that sign say if you were in a rally outside?
Let me think for a second. Gosh, I think it would obviously have to do, I mean, this is, if I had more time, it would be better, but something about like recovery, traditional recoveries, killing people, like something
Mm.
of that magnitude of like what we think, like what we look at as recovery and traditional recovery is the goal for like society's goal. You always hear it, get them into treatment, we gotta get them into treatment. Like what we think is the goal is not the goal, right? Like traditional recovery, like what we think the solution is actually reinforcing the problem. So I've tried to think of a shorter way to say that, but
That was perfect. It was from your heart and spirit, right? Traditional recovery is killing people. That hit me hard because that was the first thing that cracked my brainwashing, my AA brainwashing, and I was like, "What the fuck is this? What am I even in?" Because he's dead. His kids no longer have a father, and this is not okay. So that message hits. It hit me just now. And if I saw that on a like if you were at a No Kings but recovery like thing and had that up, that would hit. That's real.
no sponsors day. Oh my gosh. Yeah, but I mean
How
that really is the if the message had to be just a few words, it just that's it. Traditional recovery is killing people. Like that is the end. Like there's so much to say and so many things to bring to the conversation that support that, but at the end of the day, that's the message.
Yeah. And it's ironic that the propaganda is AA saves lives. And we know about propaganda. The more times you repeat it, the more times people believe it. And even though you're going to all the funerals, you still think that you're saving lives. And it becomes a trap. The fact that it's all bullshit is like really what has driven me to dissent. I'm like, it's not true. We're being lied to. Like, that's what gets me. And we know like Monica Richardson's did the 13-step film. For her, it was the sexual predation and then the murder and all of that. And so I love that the different people who are dissenting around how harmful 12-step ideology or 12-step rooms are, we have different motivators. And so for you, it goes even down to your husband's siblings and like just the narrative and how demoralizing it was for you and your parents and everybody around traditional recovery kills people.
Yeah, it kills people. I mean, it messes up like even just the parents involved, like all the things like my parents believed and like they were doing things against what they wanted to do because they thought that's what was going to save my life. I mean, there's just there's so much of what people just think is how it's supposed to be that isn't true, and that's literally killing people. Like it's crazy, and it sound like if you don't understand that, then we sound crazy. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my god, these and you know what, one thing I hate about speaking out is that if you speak out, the people who don't get it, it's automatically you had a bad experience in AA and that's why you're speaking out, and like just let people do what works for them. That always drives me crazy because it's like it's so much more than that. Like take my experience completely out of it. Take my experience, let's take everything about my experience, let's take it out. It is still a million fucking other things that we can talk about why it's harmful without my experience at all. So it's just, yeah, that one I just want to be like, these motherfuckers. Hate them.
Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
it takes a certain kind of grit to dissent, to
Yes.
speak publicly about a system, an institution that is so ingrained into society and specifically America, the country we're Americans, but also globally. And most people are indoctrinated into the ideology and they're going to think you're wrong, you're harmful. People will come at you believing that they're right, but unable to see or hear what you're talking about. So you take a lot of daggers. You have like a bigger platform in this space. So you're getting a lot of daggers. You're getting like hundreds of comments and a lot of them are taking the ad hominem swings at you, talking about you personally. You're projecting all sorts of mental unwellness onto you, I would assume, because I'm getting that. So
Weed.
how
They
do you
always bring it back to the weed.
right. How do you navigate being, I guess, insulted so much every day?
Smoke a lot of weed. No. Um, the weed does help, but no, you know what? Some days when it frustrates me is like when I get a comment and like I'm reading it on the way to work or something and I don't have time to respond. But I have, like I've said over the past few weeks, especially, I've really taken a step back from responding and just like kind of letting all of the negative comments go, because honestly, I've been doing this for years now. The people change, but the comments don't. You know, it's the same thing over and over and over and over again. That yeah, like sometimes it is super frustrating and I do kind of take the bait and I, go back and forth with people, but I don't I don't take it personal anymore. Like it doesn't feel personal anymore. It used to feel personal. And I think the ones that do aggravate me the most are the ones that when people mention the weed, because it's like just because I smoke weed doesn't mean that what I'm saying isn't true. And it just goes to show you like how like people, like when it comes to substances in general, like just how we think about people who use substances, right? Like it's just a completely different thing. But yeah, like at this point in time, it doesn't bother me the way that it used to. Now, before, the way that I used to handle it was clapping back. Like that's how I felt good about it, was to like how I felt I was putting people in their place. But it did start to get toxic, because it was just like the same shit over and over and over again, but different people saying it. And yeah, now it doesn't feel as bad. It doesn't, I think I'm just so used to it. I'm just so used to it. And even as personal as some of them try to go, it's like when you remember what their reality is, it's like, of course they're going to say that. Like if that's, like, of course they are. And I think once you can like remember where they're coming from and remember being that person, it takes a lot of the sting out of it, to where you're like, oh, like almost like that southern, like bless their little heart type vibe, because it's just like, you just don't get it. You just don't get it. And that's
Yeah.
okay.
I posted a video this week about how AA harms autistic and ADHD people, and that video is very important to me. I wish I had seen that video before I ever went to AA, and I wish I could have identified my brain a lot sooner. And so for me, that message really is deep in me that I want people to see that, because that would have liberated me and given me a lot of clarity and saved a lot of suffering. And so I have been going back and forth with the trolls in the comments because I want Facebook to know that this video is relevant. So I have been taking a lot of hits with people right now because this video is so important to me to get out. It's like, Zuckerberg, please send this one out because this one could really, and for me, it's like 9 out of 10 autistic girls are sexually abused by the time they're 18. So there's a lot of trauma that can be associated with ADHD, but also with autism. And then autistic women are 13 times more likely to die by suicide than non-autistic women. So I know that there are autistic women in Alcoholics Anonymous or 12-step rooms who are misidentifying themselves as this disease baloney. And so I'm right now in there taking hits, feeding the trolls, not feeding them, but I'm engaging with them because the message in this video to me is worth it. Have you ever found that like you will go in and take the hits because this one's worth it? What one is worth it?
Yeah. I forget exactly which video or like which videos, but there has definitely been videos where people are just completely missing the point, doing the ad hominem things, like just do, and it's like I would go in the comments, and I'm sure there's going to be things in the future 100% where I will. And I think, yeah, when it comes to stuff like that with, the neurodivergent, but really with honestly just like the program itself being harmful and people scoffing at that drives me nuts, because like it's not harmful. It's like, wow, there's just so much to say about it, right? And sometimes, yeah, there's just videos that, yeah, are very personal and very like, that you're so far from alone in that experience. And then you think about the people who are still like trying to navigate these waters, and then them reading those comments. And, like you want to, I used to say all the time, like I respond. Sometimes it's fun, but I also respond for the people reading those comments, right? Because then they might see the video, see that comment and be like, "Oh, that person's right." No, they're fucking not right, and going back and forth with some of these people is 100% worth it, just for the people who are going to read what you're saying to that person. That person may never, and person may tell you to go fuck yourself fucking every which way, right? But the people in those comments, the silent people, right? The people who are scared to even comment because, they're afraid their home group's going to see that pop up in their feed and such. Like, it's like the silent, I always think about the silent people. Or I've had a couple people who literally made new accounts to contact me in the messages because they were so scared that someone from their home group or their sponsor or someone was going to find out. So that type of stuff can definitely, I'll go all day. I'll go all day. I'll go all day. I've gotten in trouble at work before, like I'm going like on your phone. I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. It's just this person, luckily my husband's like my supervisor. So I can kind of just be like, this is really fucking important, this comment. Can I please just finish this up? But yeah, 100%, 100%. And sometimes it's finding that. But you know what? It's not even finding that. It's not even finding that, because it's just like it is or it isn't for you, right? Like there's either a piece of content that you feel like you're so like emotionally charged and like this message has to get out. And then like sometimes it's like, yeah, well, I kind of see your point, but you're fucking wrong and whatever, But I think so. Yeah, for sure. There's things that I'm like, oh no, motherfucker.
Sometimes it's worth it to clap back.
Totally. 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 Like I said, even not for them. It's never
Right.
worth it for them. But the
Right.
people reading those comments, totally worth it.
Another
Totally.
place to put your message.
Yeah. Yeah. And explain more, because, if this person just got that out of it, okay, well, let's explain what I really meant and all this stuff, because sometimes it's just a clip of something, right? And it's not the whole thing. And yeah, it's just another place to put it, because not everybody learns the same, not everybody absorbs things the same. And sometimes for me, I get out what I was trying to say better in the comment than I did in the video, so I definitely think it's worth it. And sometimes it's not, and it's up to you to kind of figure out what's worth your time and energy. And I think the more you do it, the more you figure that out.
Yeah. So one of your first YouTube videos, your maybe your second or third video, you're saying, I have 7 subscribers now. I'm so grateful for you. That might sound like a small number, but it means the world to me. Every one of you who subscribed, I'm so glad you're here. And you were just gushing in gratitude that people were hearing you talk about this other perspective and worldview on addiction, and that it meant so much to you, right? And I'm wondering if you could now, 6 years later, if you could give that 7 subscribers in version of yourself advice, what would you tell her about dissenting and speaking out?
I think sometimes, and this is still to me now, I think it's really easy to sometimes get caught up in the numbers, right? Like, but I've been doing this for 6 years now, and I just broke a thousand not that long ago on YouTube, and like, on Facebook. Yeah, like I have like, like I think like 65. It's like 6,500. Like, I don't have huge numbers. Like on TikTok, I have like 16. Like, compared to most people who have been on the internet posting for 6 years, they do have a lot more followers typically, right? And sometimes I get caught up in that. Sometimes I get caught up in that, but it's not the numbers, because the people that I have in my community are so fucking solid that when there is a day that I can't get on my phone and there's some douchebag in the comments, like, my community is there, and I think the biggest thing that I wish I could tell myself is to focus on those 7. Focus on the people that are already there, and who gives a shit who's not there. They'll come. I wish that I did that. And I'm trying to do that now. Like, who cares who's not here? These people are here, and they're showing up for you, and they're cheering you on. And some of these people have been here the full 6 years. There's some of these people that I've known for years and years and years that, I mean, I don't know a ton about them, but I know they've been there for me, and I think that's the biggest piece of advice when it comes to like social media, right? Because like there's like social media, and then there's like the message, right? And they're two different worlds, because it's like there's the growth of wanting to grow your account and all that stuff. And of course I would love to be able to make an income off of this stuff so that I could spend more time doing it, right? Like, my job as a service writer at a commercial truck dealership really doesn't do a whole lot for my soul. You know what I'm saying? But this does. And as far as like just the message part of it, with those 7 people, I mean, you got to realize that sometimes, like, you may connect with people on certain things, but as you grow and evolve, they may not be growing and evolving. And some of your biggest fans may end up being like, I don't fucking like what you're saying anymore. I think you're full of shit. And so you got to deal with that. But most people are along for the ride. But sometimes, if you're evolving and you're changing, that's normal, like, you're evolving and changing, like, you're the whole deprogramming thing, and like, it's still something that's near and dear to your heart, but you're doing other things now. And maybe some people who strictly followed you just for the deprogramming, and you were their lifeline and you got them out, they might be a little hurt that you're doing something a little different now, right? But it's just part of it, because at the end of the day, like, it sounds so cheesy, but we are all just humans, just like trying to navigate this world that we're in. And when you're in this kind of world where so majority of people believe something else, and then you have, however you call it, unturned the stone, whatever metaphor people use, when you see the other side, it can be lonely sometimes, right? Because it's like so many people believe this and then you believe that. But I kind of went on a weird tangent here, but yeah, that's funny. The 7 subscribers, man. I remember being so happy too, so happy. And I think that's one thing I need to remember too, is like to be grateful for every new person who hits subscribe, who hits follow, even if it's not the numbers that I would love to see. It's still people, and like, this isn't a subject that's for everybody. Like, this isn't gonna be that an overwhelming huge amount of people give a shit about, right? So it's, you're not for everyone, but it's been a really cool experience though. Like, something like nothing else. And it's not like we talk about makeup and not about people who, nothing wrong with people who build a whole platform on fashion or whatever. That's cool. Like you're living out your dreams, but there's something so special about talking about something that people have felt so alone. And when you're the first time that they hear somebody else saying something, I know you've gotten those type of comments and messages like, oh my God, I have felt this and thought this for so long. And I thought I was so alone. And like, like nothing can take that feeling of just being like, listen, like it's not just us two, baby. Like there is a whole community of us. And I know this sounds crazy, but we're actually the overwhelming majority of people. Like most people don't do recovery that way. And like, I mean, there's just something so fucking special about that.
How
So
does it
special.
make you feel to know that you are a voice, a courageous force in the world that helps them feel less alone?
You know, I can't describe it really. It's like I feel that like I don't want to use any like AA words. Um, I, f- I mean, I do feel grateful. I hate that I hate the word grateful now. But I do feel like I feel good. Like I feel good and not like in a I'm just saving the world type of way, but in like a, you know, like in like I know what it's like, dude. I know what it's like to know the despair. Like when you're like, why the fuck can I not get this shit when I'm actually trying this time? You know, like I knew why I wasn't getting it when I was still trying to get high and go to meetings. But when I stopped getting high and I took the work seriously and I took all the suggestions and I was doing all of the things and I still wasn't getting it. And to think that there was something so wrong with me and then leaving and still thinking there's something so wrong with me, to let other people know there's nothing wrong with you. There's absolutely nothing wrong with you. The value of that, being a person who has felt so long that there is something fundamentally wrong with me, like I am fucked up in some weird reason. Um yeah, I can't put it into words, but it's powerful. It's really, really fucking powerful. Really
Yeah,
powerful.
it's so beyond the mindfuckery of
Yeah.
engaging mentally with people in the comments. It's even beyond, it sounds like, the heart of it all, which is um, wanting people to live. There's like a soul to it, which is there's nothing fucking wrong with you. And
Yes.
there's nothing wrong with me. And we can talk about it and we can live from that new reality of there's nothing broken.
And like how many, and you know, if they're coming from traditional recovery spaces, they've heard nothing but the fact that they're broken over and over and over again. And to get to be the first time that somebody's hearing, there's nothing wrong with you. Like you're just a human that's got caught up in this crazy ass cult that none of us even knew was a cult. And you know, all of this stuff in most of America, most of the country, no, not country, what's it called? The world, the universe, they don't know it's a cult either, and they think we sound crazy and like all like there's just, yeah, there's so much power in emotion. And you know, I don't really stop to think about it enough, but having this conversation, just thinking about it, really is some powerful shit, man. It really, really is. Like it's like emotional, it's overwhelmingly emotional. It's just, yeah, you know, I spend a lot of time thinking I'm not doing enough, like I need to do more, I need to do more, and I want to do more, right? Like there's so many plans and things I want to do and this, that, and the other thing. But I think sometimes I do need to take a step back and realize, but you have done something. You know what I mean? Like you have touched some people, like some people, I mean, I get the comments sometimes and they'll be like, this is going to sound bad. I don't ever want people to stop going to meetings, but if they want to stop going to meetings, I want people to feel good about stopping and like realizing that there is this whole other world and they can do all of these things. And I mean, that's just so fucking awesome, you know? Like, I don't even know how to put it into words.
Yeah. I've received a lot of DMs saying that Tara Grace, Burn the Stigma, you were the first person. They'll say like, "Oh, I'm relating to your content," but Tara Grace was the first person who ever opened my mind to any of this, and it's been such a like liberating journey. Whatever kind of words that they use, but I get quoted your name a lot, and that you were the first person that they saw that really woke them up to this new freedom.
Awesome. Yeah, that is cool to hear because, like I said, sometimes I feel like it's, there's I'm just not doing enough because there's so much to do because every it sounds so like sometimes I feel weird saying this, but it's like because we just get it so wrong. The recovery space gets everything so wrong, and like these messages are like hammered into people's heads over and over and over again, and it's like how do we get people to stop and just if you can just stop and like look at it for a second, just take a step back for just 1 second, like pause, hold on, and like really think about it, and then just like the whole new world of like neuroscience that I've been on lately has like just like opened up this crazy shit for me. And it's like take addiction, take dogma, take all of it out, just speaking about habits and how the brain, a human brain, we're just talking about humans, just humans in general, how it's not this like permanent fixed thing, and that you can change. And it's I mean, it's just so we get so many things backwards, and the freedom of critical thinking, of thinking for yourself. I mean, it's just that's one thing too. I never I never knew what that was like. I was just handed this identity, handed this, handed that. This is what it is. This is what you do, blah, blah, blah. But to actually be this person who doesn't take everything that's given to me as fact and like be like, well, let me look at that a little bit and research it and see. I mean, what is that? That's not who I was, but it's who I am now, thanks to my experience in 12 step.
Hell
Thanks
yeah.
to dissenting online. That is a big thing that's come from this, is just critical thinking. It's like, whoa. Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
From actually dissenting, taking a stand, owning your voice, owning your story, owning your truth and the research that you've done, and being the one who speaks up, how has that impacted the rest of your life?
When it comes to like my relationship with my husband, he's actually really supportive of it. Like he never really got into like recovery, but he really does support the message. Some of this stuff has like brought us closer, in like, like he made me this backdrop, and like he's made like a lot of stuff for me. Overall, this experience has opened me up to a sense of pride, I guess is the word. Like I feel good about what I'm doing, even though, according to some people I'm killing people, but I really feel confident. And I don't know, there's just something about going through this experience, and like who you become on the other side after going through all of the things that were like holding you back and beating you down and all of this stuff, to come out on the other side and be like, I can just be me. I can just wake up. I can just exist. I can, I don't have to worry about this and that. Like, I mean, that is huge. That's huge.
It's like everything.
Everything. Everything. When you don't have to be afraid of yourself after being afraid of yourself, I mean, when you're taught you can't trust anything that your brain thinks, to now be like it's like I'm the only person I trust. Everyone out here is fucked up. It's crazy. But it's I mean, I wouldn't trade it for anything.
100%.
I don't know if this is good advice or bad advice, because if you don't have the information to support what you say coming from somewhere else, it doesn't make it any less valid. It doesn't make it any less important if you can't, point to 5 other sources that support what you're saying. But I will say, if you can, there's something so empowering about knowing that you're not alone. It just may be a more unknown thing, but there is, you're not the first person to ever say it. And if you are the first person to ever say something, holy shit, you're the first person to ever say something. Like, I mean, you're beginning a whole revolution and you don't even know it. So I think either way it works, right? Like, you either have a whole bunch of information that supports what you're saying, and while you don't need that, there was something about it for me personally that I was like, oh, fuck you, go read a book. Like, I know that I'm fucking right. But like I said, if you don't have that, to be the first person to take a stand on something, you're a fucking powerful ass motherfucker, and be that person, because if you are the first person to take a stand on something, there is most likely so many people who want to but are scared shitless because we've been told not to rock the boat for whatever reason, for whatever it is. So yeah, I say do it. It's scary, but it could change your life in ways that you never thought possible. Like, totally, totally never thought possible.
Reminds me of what my very first life coach told me in 2012. She said, "Kirsten, leaders go first." That's literally the line that I feed myself when I'm scared shitless. Leaders go first. I'm a leader. I believe we're all leaders, but we don't all choose leadership. And I think choosing to be self-led after having been possessed by an ideology that tells you that you're powerless is a revolutionary act. And you clearly are self-led, and that is something to fucking celebrate.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I never like looked like this conversation has actually done a lot, in just like taking a minute to reflect on it and reflect on the journey, and like just be like, holy shit, because like I said, I spent so much time thinking about what I haven't done, what I haven't accomplished. But to look at what I have accomplished, while, like, it may not seem like a lot to some, but I mean, I've literally transformed my entire mind, my entire thought process. Everything that I think is completely different. And like, how many people like get stuck in like ideologies? We're surrounded by them. There's so many cults within cults that people don't even consider cults. Like, society is a cult. Like, everything just seems so, like, if you don't believe this, then you're out, and it's like, if you don't believe everything here, then you're just and I mean, to really just have your own thoughts and to think for yourself in today's world is such a gift that, I mean, man, it is such a gift, because you don't get swept up in the bullshit, because it's like, yeah, I see your truth there and I see your truth over there, but like, you're both kind of fucking wrong, you know? It's just like, to be able to not get swept up, because I do feel like I was a follower for a big part of my life. I was a follower. Like, yeah, I was the goofy, silly stoner, but I went with the flow and I followed, right? And to just truly like feel confident in what you say after being a low self-esteem follower, the freedom that comes with that is just, I could never go to any professional, any treatment, anything that this experience has given me that would give me that. Like, doing this by myself, like you said, self-led, like reading the stuff on my own, deciding what to read, deciding what to read more about, deciding what to, spend 3 hours going down a Google rabbit hole and all of those things. Like, yeah, life changing. Literally, it sounds corny as fuck when I say it, but it is life changing to think for yourself. Life changing. And I got that from Dissenting 12 step. That is the gift of dissenting, because there are times you are alone. You're very alone. Even when you have people who do agree with you, sometimes the people that agree with you say, you kind of missed the mark on this one, and they don't fully agree on it. And then like, you went a little too far that way. But to still feel like, I understand why you believe that, but I still believe this, and to not be like, oh, let me take it back. Let me delete the post, because the three people that are always agreeing with me don't agree with me. Like that, I would do shit like that in the beginning, right? Especially as I was learning and feeling like I had to speak a certain way if I believed in, harm reduction, that I had to say XYZ perfectly this way. Like I kind of got caught up in that for a little while too. But to just be able to be like, you know what, like I 100% believe in harm reduction and I 100% believe in this, that, and the other thing, but that doesn't mean I have to fall in line with everyone who believes this and everyone who believes that. Like I can still, and I think it can be really easy to go from kind of one ideology to the next. It's like, okay, well, I don't believe that anymore, but now I believe this. And even if I don't totally believe this, well, the whole group believes this, so I'm gonna go with this. Yeah, I think there's just something so special about not being steered by what somebody else says. Not saying it doesn't still feel uncomfortable sometimes, but I'm not going to delete a post anymore because, three people that normally always agree with me don't, and that's really the freedom right there.
Yeah. If somebody who was never in 12-step addiction, whatever, was going to speak out about a cult,
Mm.
what would you tell them?
Baby.
How would you warn them to what the speaking out? Because it's one thing to tell the truth on the internet or tell your story or whatever. It's another thing to speak out about a cult. There's a whole other element there.
Yeah, honestly, be careful just because people are fucking nuts. And there was actually two people that I was going to have on my podcast from TikTok that ended up not coming on because of some of like the real life shit that was going on because they started speaking out. And depending on what cult you come from, like that can really happen. Like the real life shit, people can really threaten your life even sometimes. And the truth obviously is always on your side. And you have that, like you have the truth, and if you have nothing else, you have that truth. But you do have to be careful because there are some fucking wackadoodles out there that their whole identity in life is that what you're trying to say isn't real, or trying to say that it is a cult, and that can really rock some people's worlds. So, but I do think it's so important because I mean we see it like the Mormons, like some of the Mormons that have spoken out. I forget exactly what they come from. I forget what it is, but we see people who've leave cults who speak out, and it is depending on what type of cult it is. I mean, I feel like there's definitely varying levels. I mean, if you come from a cult of like 7 generations of your family that's been in that cult and have lived that way of life, I feel like is a different experience than being someone who was in, a 12-step program. But at the end of the day, we've all had our minds controlled and didn't have our own mind and didn't have our own thinking. And there's a lot of pain that can come from speaking out. But I think once you get through those waters, again, like you're gonna feel so empowered that you're not gonna give a shit anymore. Like it does get to a point where all of the bad shit doesn't matter, but there are some crazy people, and you do have to be careful because people are fucked up. Some people you're threatening everything about themselves. Like that's their whole reality, and you're saying, this is a cult. I mean, I would be insulted too if someone thought that my whole reality was a cult, even if it really was a cult, So, but do it. I say do it. If you want to do it, don't let anyone take it away from you, because you will find your community and your supporters and the people who are going to be there on the days that you're like, oh, I can't do this anymore. Or you're going to get that one comment from someone who's like, thank you so fucking much. And then you push on and you go. And then you turn into this person that you don't even recognize anymore. Like, who's this confident little bitch over here? It's like it's a whole new world. And you just do it, do it, but be careful. That's my
Yeah.
advice.
And We all know that there's, especially in America, we can go down a list of names of people who took a bold stand publicly and got assassinated and are no longer alive when they had a very strong message that had strong opposers. People do give their lives for strong messages. That's real.
Totally. 100%. 100%. It just comes with the territory. Like, speaking about big heavy shit can come with big heavy consequences. But I know for me, like, this is something I know, probably a little drastic, but maybe not. I know there's people who are super all about AA. If I was to be assassinated over this, not assassin, not, wouldn't be called assassination for me. If I was to get killed over this, right? I would be fine with that, because not like I'd be fine with it, but it wouldn't it's worth it's worth it. It's worth dying for this message, because so many people are dying because of this message. So it's like it's worth taking that risk, even though I don't feel like there's a real risk for me speaking out, but I guess there's always a risk when you're going against the grain when it comes to speaking out in general. Like, if you feel that, if you feel like you are willing to stand 10 toes down no matter what comes your way, then you know that you're ready to talk about this stuff publicly. Like, I think it's like a feeling almost. If you know whatever fucking comes, bring it, baby. Bring it, Um then it's time. It's time to let people know your experience, what have you've gone through, and so many others are continuing to go through and have gone through. Like, this isn't just my story. This isn't just your story. This is, there's so many people who aren't here to tell their story. So it's wild, but it's fucking worth it. Or at least I think so.
There was a moment before I ever said a damn word on the internet about AA. I never even said I was in AA. I was in AA for 10 years and I left in 2020. And it wasn't until a year ago in 2025 that I first ever said on the internet that I was in AA. And then I also said the same day I left AA. But there was a moment before that, leading up to me breaking my anonymity on the internet, where I decided that it was worth it. If I was killed because of speaking out, it was worth it. I actually had a moment where I was like, this actually might cost my life. Am I okay with that? I don't want to die for this anymore. But there was a moment where I decided it would have been worth it, right? So I'm wondering if there was a moment or any moments you can share with us where you felt like there was a risk or a fear or a doubt or whatever, where you said, fuck it, it's worth it.
When it comes to speaking about particular people, like, there's this guy, Eric Spofford, who he is part of like a this thing in New Hampshire, and he's like a real actual predator. And the 13 Step podcast, not the one that Monica Richardson did, but the one by New Hampshire Public Radio, is all about him. Well, Eric Spofford went to the same like 12-step indoctrination center. Like, it was a rehab, but it really was a 12-step indoctrination center that's like all about the big book and all the stuff. He went there like 2 years or a year and a half before I did, and when I went there, they used to like parade him around as like the golden boy. At that time he just had a sober house, whatever. So anyways, he ends up being this big like treatment center, like owner, and doing all these things. But he's a straight up predator, right? Like, he straight up like sexually assaults vulnerable women, like, on the regular, right? And it just having that little bit of connection, just from like knowing who he is. And like, he used to talk to one of my friends, and like, the way that he would talk to her was like really gross and all this stuff. But so I would started covering like stuff about him, and like, he's somebody who's literally out on bail right now for like harassing the news reporters for covering this stuff. Like, he like had bricks thrown through their house, like big shit, right? And I was like, so he's not really someone to fuck with. But I was like, it's worth it. Like, whatever, he'd be stupid, in my opinion, he'd be stupid to do something, but it'd be like, this is why he gets to keep doing shit, is because nobody does stand up. Nobody does say anything. The reason the women never really went to court is because he uses like, oh, she's just a crazy junkie. She's just, when you have the the label of having, you know, a chaotic relationship with substances, that's all that people need, especially in court, to destroy everything that you say, to make you out to be this liar just because of that. And it's like the millions of dollars that he has made off of the backs of people, you know, with substance use disorder is like the same defense that he gets to use. Like, oh, but these people are addicts, and like that's why we can't trust what they say. And it just came down to I don't care. I don't care what happens because people need to know about this, because the sad thing is he's a dime a dozen. There are so many people in these high up positions in the treatment industry, in the sober living industry, that take advantage, men and women. It's not just a men doing it to women. Women do it to men too. And there is so much going on, like in just like sexual exploitation and all of this shit within these recovery spaces that nobody talks about, because the people that get exploited feels fucking stupid. Like they feel so ashamed, and they're like, oh, like, you know, how could I, and then recovery culture turns it around on them. Well, you've known what people say about them, so why were you even with them? You know, and like all of the shame and the shit that comes with it. So when it came out to like, am I going to say something or not, like especially when it comes to like sexual stuff and all the predators, because this space is crawling with predators, I don't care what happens, because people need to know. People need to know how prevalent, like, this happens so much. You would think it's like I'm lying. You know what I mean? Because it's just so crazy at the magnitude that people get taken advantage of in treatment and sober living. And it's a huge fucking problem that we need a lot more attention around. So I would say that was probably the biggest, like, taking a risk here. But anything else, it really hasn't felt that risky, other than like, yeah, some people are gonna talk shit to me, but whatever. But the biggest, like, something bad could happen to me if I talk about this, was when it comes to speaking out about Eric Spofford. Knock on wood, nothing's happened.
How do you feel about it now that you have?
Maybe I'm naive to think that because he's out on bail for doing things to people, you know, the news people, for uncovering that story, naive to think that anything would happen to me. And I don't feel scared about it right now. I don't know. There's something about him being out on bail that makes me less likely to feel like. And I also think that it is kind of a good thing that my numbers are small, because he's so arrogant. Like, to him, that, oh, like, she's just such a small fish. Like, who cares what she says type vibe, versus like New Hampshire Public Radio was more of a threat to him, you know? But there's always a chance. There's always a chance. I've said I wish I spent more time talking about this stuff, because it is such a problem, especially in the New England area. I mean, I'm sure it's everywhere, but just obviously I'm more knowledgeable about the New England area. I feel I want people to feel confident enough to speak out, because there's people who have a hell of a lot more to say, especially about that dude, than I ever could, right? And I want the victims to feel supported and believed. And there's something, like, I have had a few people who have messaged me. This was more in the beginning, who said like they were a victim of his, and like they do appreciate me saying something, and they wish that, you know, they could speak out, but they, you know, for whatever reason feel they can't. That part feels good. It's more in a sense of like supporting the victims and making the victims realize that, like, people do give a shit. You are heard, and you are sure as fuck believed. You know, like, that is what means something to me, really, you know, is letting them know, like, no, sweetheart, I fucking believe everything that you're saying, and this is so wrong. And what makes it so difficult is, like, there's no justice. There's no justice. Like, if this guy goes down, it's not for the sexual assault. It's for, you know, violating whatever laws when it comes to intimidating the news, you know? So I feel like the least we can do is support the victims and let them know that they are believed, and that we're not just going to let this trash, just because he would obviously love nobody to talk about it. But we're going to talk about it. Yeah, we are. You know?
It sounds like time and time again you have chose mission and purpose that you've put purpose over fear.
Yeah. And I think purpose almost like helps the fear not feel so heavy, right? Like when your purpose feels bigger than the fear, I just feel this sense of like I don't even know the word, but like wow, like a justice? I don't know. Like there's just some sort of like feeling of like we can't let this shit go on. And there's something about the recoveries in industry that has just consumed my soul to where yeah, I really want justice in this space. I know there's a million other issues in the world, but there is something about this space that is just again, it's not something I control. It's just something inside of me that it just goes. It just goes and
Yeah.
goes.
Well, it sounds like you're a truth teller.
Yeah, and it's funny after like because obviously when I was using his stuff, I lied a lot, and then when you're in the rooms, you're told just you're a liar, manipulative piece of shit, and then to get to this point where it's like, yeah, like no, I'm just about the truth. I'm just about what's real, what is the truth, and sometimes the truth is a hell of a lot uglier than we want it to be, but it's the truth, and like so while overlooking like the truth that's glaring people in the face and sweeping it under the rug for like fake other things that people think are true. Like, well, it saved so many lives. Oh, it's just like there's this huge picture over here, huge big picture right here. And like people have just been so programmed to not look at it, because it doesn't feel good. So we're not gonna look at it, and we got to look at it. We got to make changes because you guys have had like 100 years. The way that we're going about this is not working. Like let's try something different, you know?
Yeah. Is there anything else that we didn't talk about you being a courageous, bold, badass truth teller taking a motherfucking stand for what you feel is right in the world that we didn't cover yet?
Yeah, it feels even when you say that, like I feel like, kind of bashful, because I don't
Basher's bash is bashful? Wait, this is Basher bashful?
the bashful
You're
bashers
bashful.
bash.
That's the new one. You're bashful.
I'm just a bashy bitch. What can I
You've been
say?
full of bash for a long time.
You know? It's just but I gotta say this has made me really just kind of take a step back, like I was saying earlier, and look at the big picture and look at the growth and look at where this journey has brought me. These several years have kind of been just trying to figure it all out, just being like, what is the truth? Now I see the treatment industry for what it is, and there's just something about just seeing things for what they are after like seeing a different version of them. I just want people to know that if you do feel passionate about something, like just keep watering it, keep doing it. And like I know it's so easy to compare yourself to other people, especially if there's other people talking about it and be like, oh, like they do so much better than me and blah 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 blah. Even if we all talk about the same thing, we all have a unique perspective and a different experience that can connect with people that maybe somebody else can't. I never knew what this experience would bring, and I honestly feel like it's just the beginning. Like I feel like I just cracked it open, like I feel like there's still so much more to learn and expand on, and like I feel like I'm just becoming like I've just finally got the confidence to become the person I want to be, right? Like it took time to get here, and now it's like, all right, like we're going to do this, and like let's go and do it. And that came, believe it or not, from dissenting. That came from speaking up when there was no one else speaking up. It came from like being honest when everyone said I was full of shit. Like all of those things like just brought me to learning again, reading again. Like I just sometimes feel like if you feel passionate about something, you may think it's going to take you down this certain road, and then it ends up taking you somewhere completely different. But it I mean, you just don't know. You just don't know where you're going to go, but just whatever it fuels you inside, just keep going, even if it feels like nobody else gives a shit. It's been a wild experience, and to like, take a look back and look at the journey, and it's like, wow, it really, I have felt so stagnant. And to be like, you really haven't been stagnant,
Not
like
at
you
all.
really, really haven't, it's just, so this conversation, I really do appreciate it because it's given me, I mean, I've been feeling better about myself anyways, but I still have felt like I've been in such a rut. I felt like I just have been kind of just spinning my wheels for, several years now. But in those wheels spinning and not really, getting out of the mud, like now we're out of the mud, and now we're gonna go, baby. But all of that wheel spinning gave me the momentum to get out of that mud that's been holding me back, and all of those limiting thoughts and all of those things. Like sometimes when your goal is to help other people, you don't realize what you're actually going to be doing for yourself. It's like, whoa, bitch, who are you? So yeah, it's been really cool. And I really do appreciate this conversation because I feel good right now. And I didn't even
Yeah.
smoke.
Well, you have come a really long way, and that's part of why I watched your first couple of YouTube videos. And I don't know if you made videos before that you didn't post, but I know that I made videos for 6 months that I was too afraid to post on the internet, and ironically, they were all about overcoming fear, and none of them were ever posted. And this was 2012, so that I don't even know where those videos are. They're on some dead iPhone from a long time ago, right? That wouldn't even convert a file. I wish I could see them. Like, you can overcome fear. And we all start where we start and we move forward from there. And some people go faster, some people go slower. There's turns, there's twists. But answering the call of our soul, like I have never regretted that.
There's just something about when you feel passionate about something, like when you feel like just the sense of like, I have to let other people know. I don't know. Like, I guess I don't even know what life without that would feel like, because even when I was in the program and it wasn't working for me, I was still carrying that message, because even though it wasn't working for me, I was still so sure that it was going to work for someone else. And like, do I possibly, dare I say, I don't know, this is just the first thought that I have, but did AA give me that? I don't know. Like, did I learn some sort of sense of carrying a message from the rooms, or did I always have that in me? That sense of like, I have to, because obviously we know there's tons of people in the comments, but like not everybody gets on the damn internet and like makes these videos that people could make fun of. Like, there's so much risk that comes when you post. I remember this was a few years ago, but one of my videos was shared in like this, it's called like dank recovery memes, and it's just all 12-step like bullshit. And I mean, people were ripping me apart in the comments. Like, it was like, I mean, 500, 600 comments of just people making fun of me, right? Because that's a huge account. I think I have them blocked now because I was like, I don't want that to happen again. Um, but to have that happen and like still keep showing up, that's when I really was like, we're in this for the long haul. Like, there's something, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is that keeps me doing it, but I'm
It's
glad.
you. It's
Oh,
you. It's you. It's the fire inside your fucking body. You are a soul inside a body, inside a meat flesh. You are the energy in there. It's your spirit. It's you. It's your passion. It's you. It is fucking you.
I'm like, I don't know what this is. You're like, it's you, bitch. Yeah, I guess it
It's
is.
a very deep part of you. It's the part of
Mm.
you that isn't stuck here. So the way I think about it is our minds are important, our hearts are important, and then like our gut, our spirit, our soul, right? And there's different dimensions of us, and we can get in here for a while. I don't know if it's gonna work. What the fuck? Or they called me an idiot. They said I'm a cult leader. They said I'm a narcissist, or they said I'm killing people. Or we can get up here. Then we
Yeah.
get here. I really want to help people. People are dying. It's really important to help people. Then we get down here is how I think about it, right? And down here is like, I'm taking a stand for what I believe in, and it's fueling me and it keeps me going, and I can't not do this. I'm on this wave and I'm surfing, and it's like, it's who the fuck I am. I am somebody who honors what I feel inside me. And so it's like a depth, it's a piece of you. I would call it like the spirit or the soul, but it doesn't matter what I perceive it to be, but I would say it's fucking you.
Yeah, I mean, it must be because it can't be anyone else, right?
It's not Bob, it's not Bill. It sure as fuck isn't Silkworth.
It's the ghost of Dr. Bob.
Is it Marty Mann?
It might be. It might be. No, Marty would be pissed. Marty would be pissed. Yeah, but it's cool. I mean, it's because not everybody has that. So rather than like feeling like I'm weird and awkward about it, it's one of those things that's like, you know what, like, no, this is actually cool to like give a shit. Like to care about other people and to not care what comes your way as a result of that. Obviously it took a little bit. I'm not saying I was like that from the beginning, but there's nothing, I guess that's how like my mom feels about her faith, like her Catholic faith. Like she feels like nobody can take that away from her. That's how I feel about this. Like my faith in the desperate need for recovery reform. Nobody can take that away from me. Nobody can convince me that I'm wrong about it. Like there's just it's yeah, it's just who I am. It's what I believe, and I'll fight you over it. So it's just yeah, I guess it is me. That's even crazier when you like, there's just so many moments, right? There's so many moments through all of this stuff, and they're tiny moments that I think sometimes you don't realize them until you have conversations like this, or until you take a step back and you're like, wow, like this has been the one of the most empowering things of my entire life. Like this fuels me and gets me up in the morning, and like hell yeah, I mean,
The latest I have slept in the past year since I started talking about AA has been 5 a.m. That's the most I've slept until. I have woken up most days at 4:30, if not 4. And for me, the fire is more than deprogramming AA. It is speaking truth. It's about being committed to being courageous, being committed to trusting that voice inside you that says, this isn't fucking right, say something. And I really admire people who listen to that and do that. And not only that, to me, it's like what you're doing and like Quackaholics Anonymous, Monica Richardson, like other people in the space. Not only are we trusting the voice inside and we're taking a bold stand, we're doing it against a cult, which requires a whole nother level of fuckery. And then we're doing it against a cult that nobody recognizes, that society doesn't recognize. If you did it against Nexium, Charlie Manson, Kool-Aid people, Jim Jones, everybody would be on your side. Like, yeah, take a stand, take a stand. But we're doing it in a way, you're doing it in a way that society doesn't approve. And so there is a specific flavor of badassery that you step into every fucking day that I just admire the crap out of. So I am like proud to call you a friend. And I've just been like really touched just witnessing your journey and having this conversation with you because you're so fucking brave. And to me, there's nothing more important than trying to be brave in life because we're going to get to the end and then what? It's over.
it's over. Yeah, I mean, it's been an honor and a privilege to be your friend, and like I've always admired the way that you can break things down and like say things that sometimes I can't put into words, and it's just been super cool to see, because I can like also see your passion, right? Like there's a difference between like some people speak about it, but some people just speak about it because like they don't like the program. But there's just a difference. There's just a difference when like you can understand like really how harmful it is, and like really caring about the next person, and like just there's just like a whole domino effect of like people's lives like just transforming and changing, and it's like, yeah, I mean, I too think it is pretty fucking cool when people stand up and like say like this shit's not right, and we gotta take a stand, and we gotta at least make people aware, because I think sometimes the biggest problem with the treatment industry is that nobody realizes there's a problem. You say, the treatment filled with 12-step recovery, and people say, so what? Why is that bad? Like, that's what people do. They go to those meetings, and there's something special about speaking out about something that so many people think is the solution, you know?
Yeah. So, if there's anybody that's listening or watching right now, I would love, and if you started speaking out about anything or even 12-step ideology, definitely if you're on YouTube, write your handle down below, write your socials down below. Let's, dissenters unite. I think it's such a unique thing. Now, look, I think everybody has that wisdom inside them, and everyone hears a voice, and everyone decides whether or not they're going to step up and be brave. Not everybody is built and made and desires to speak out, and I don't think everybody needs to. But I think that when you trust that voice inside and you follow it, even though you're scared, even though nobody else is doing it, even though you don't know what the fuck you're doing, or your ADHD is making it take seemingly fucking forever or whatever. But if you keep following that string of something deeper inside you, like, it leads to, dare I say it, a life beyond your wildest fucking dreams.
You know? It's so true. And like, I still struggle to pay bills some months, and like there's still a whole lot of shit going on in my life, but the freedom to just be me is life beyond my wildest fucking dreams. Like, is just existing, just being able to show up as myself and not cosplaying as, the super 12 stepper, or or like when I was younger as the party girl. Like, just existing and just being me. And like, yeah, I may talk about some controversial shit, but being confident enough to talk about it, and just giving a shit, and no, like, yeah, it really is a life beyond my wildest dreams, and not in the sense of what I think someone would think of when you say that statement, right? Because they probably think like, rich and all this stuff, like I live in an apartment, like, but there's just freedom, like real freedom to think and believe, and not be swayed by other people. And like, I don't know how, yeah, that is life beyond your wildest dreams, when you can just be you, and just like, what the hell.
I'm hearing a lot of like integrity and authenticity.
Yeah, and it's funny because like you hear people say those words like all the time, and it's a gift to just be able to be yourself. It is like, all the, like, we're kind of weird sometimes, like, to just not give a shit though, right? Like, to just, who cares? Like, the people who are gonna like us are gonna like us, and the people who don't like us don't, like, who cares? To truly not care, and to truly like have something that makes you wake up early in the morning and that sets your soul on fire. Like, what it honestly, like, sounds like AA positivity shit, but like, what a gift, like, truly.
It sounds like, yeah, like life advice. And for some people, that's going to be a business. And for some people, that's going to be their children. And for some people, that's going to be helping people, or it's going to be whatever it's going to be, because it's going to be expressed differently through all of us. But, a lot of what I was thinking about too is I think about mind, heart, and spirit, right? So mind speaks to mind is how I think about it. Like, if I'm debating you on the facts of AA and recovery or whatever, then I'm in mental plane, and that's shallow, but okay. Then there's the heart, like why it matters, people are dying. And then there's like a spirit. It's like this calling that's deeper than my personality. It's like, I must. And so when I act from there, I've noticed there's huge ripple effects of it in my life. When I get out of the way and I let that deeper calling that wants to come through me, whether I think of that in spiritual terms, whether I think of it just even in my nervous system, something deep in me says, go this fucking way. And I'm terrified. I always want to go that way, because even though I think it's about helping other people, I change so much by doing that. And to me, it's like answering the call. And it doesn't have to be religious or spiritual. It could be answering the call of my intuition, of my gut. It could be of a higher power, whatever you want to think of it as. But sometimes we do have that deeper calling. This has been so fun to unpack this with you, because I see you as this really brave woman who has, against all odds, bloomed in this, against society even. And I'm like honored to know you.
I mean, I feel the same way. I feel honored to know you, and like, we've had conversations in the past that have, made me think differently, or have, opened my eyes to like think like less critically of myself, or like just different things. And those conversations are so important, because when you're beating yourself up the whole time, you can't get the gift of finding your voice, and of, like, of just being true to yourself. You can't be true to yourself when you're beating yourself up all the time, right? Because you don't want to be true to yourself, because you're like, I am a shithead. And then you like feel there's just such freedom in like having people in your life who are like emotionally intelligent, and who can like have real conversations about things. And not just like surface level shit. You probably don't know, but you have brought a lot, some of our side conversations, you've brought a lot to my life, and I really do appreciate it.
I'm so glad to hear it. Well, I'm here to support you and I appreciate your support going forward. I look forward to more weekends with Bernie. And the way I hope it is that Bernie and Bestie can transform. Like I want to be in your life, be your friend, and who knows what future pods we'll do together, but I really enjoy you. I love doing this journey alongside you. And even though deprogramming is not centered anymore for me, it's still a huge part of my fucking story. It's not that I'm never going to talk about it. It's that that's not my main focus. I am more interested in, like, for example, you as a dissenter. Then I've already heard your leaving AA story, but can I hear your speaking about AA story? Because
Yeah.
that interests me too. It's like there's more dimensions to us. So I hope that this just continues, and Weekend with Bernie is a vibe. It's a
For
whole
sure.
mood. Faux show. It's Brittany,
Oh,
bitch.
show. Yep. I definitely think there'll be more to come with Bernie and Bestie for sure.
Totally. All right. Well, everybody, thank you for coming along this journey
Yes.
with us today. It's been great to have you here. As always, I would love to hear what you think in the comments. Have you thought about dissenting? Is there something on your heart that's been making your heart beat faster? Is there something in your spirit? Is something that you haven't been doing yet that's going to require a risk or a fear, and you want to break through that? Let us know in the comments. Are you being courageous right now? Share it all with us. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, baby. Let's go. Let's go.
All right, everybody, take care, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining the Kirsten Johnson podcast. That's right, it has a new name. It's Kirsten Johnson podcast, but we're still here with
What?
Bernie. Bernie. All right, bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
guys. Bye.